What's up guys, today we're going to be showing you the top 5 best decks for the mini collection tournament part 2. We have a link in the description for the top 5 best decks for the mini collection tournament part 1 with 40 different cards. This video we will be showing you different types of decks with different cards used in them like the Miner, Ram Rider, Fisherman and Goblin Barrel. Let's get started. The first deck has Bowler, Royal Hogs, Magic Archer, Fisherman, Minions, Skeletons, and double spell being Arrows and Snowball. This deck is extremely defensive. You can see Bowler, Magic Archer, Fisherman, Minions, and Skeletons are extremely defensive. The only one downside of this deck is it only has one main win condition, which are the Royal Hogs. So after stopping a push, you should try to always send Royal Hogs on opposite lane or in the same lane to get some chip damage. Fisherman can easily activate King Tower when placed right. Magic Archer can become a win condition if you know how to use him properly, setting him right next to the bridge and hitting troops in a vertical way where you can hit the troop and the princess tower. But I would suggest you only do this in double elixir, because in single elixir, 4 elixir is too much to lose. So the combo of Fisherman, Minions, Fisherman, Skeletons is very strong. With Bowler and Magic Archer, this is a very defensive deck. And if you keep cycling Royal Hogs and chipping away damage, you should surely win your games as long as you keep your defense proper. So now let's move on to the second deck. In this deck, and this might be my favorite deck, we have the Giant Witch, Fisherman, Miner, Archers, and triple spell Lightning, Log, and Snowball. The Giant with Witch combo is very powerful unless your opponent has a big spell like you, like Lightning. Fisherman with Archers can crush almost anything. You can activate King Tower, you can kill Golem, you can kill P.E.K.K.A. Giant Witch and Miner can absolutely crush a Princess Tower. After you defend the push with the Witch, put the Giant in front of the Witch, and as the Giant reaches your opponent's tower, send in the Miner to get in some chip damage. And if your opponent drops a Witch or Hunter next to your Miner and you have some Elixir, definitely Lightning and get great value by hitting both Princess Tower and the Witch, or the Princess Tower and the Hunter. With 3 spells and Fishermen and Archers, you can tell this deck is very defensive and offensive at the same time with the Miner and Giant combo. This deck is so OP because it's so balanced. Finishing with the second deck, let's move on to the third deck. Here we have a similar deck. We have the Giant Witch Miner, but with the Electro Dragon, Minions, and Skeleton, and 2 spells instead of 3. In this deck you can build a stronger push, since you can have the Giant Witch and Electro Dragon going. But the disadvantage in this deck is if your opponent has a big spell like Lightning or Rocket, they can kill your Witch and Electro Dragon together unless you separate them properly. So I would suggest finding out what spells your opponent has before building a big push. If your opponent does have a big spell, just Miner cycle him and you most probably will get the game as long as you play defensive. Now that we've finished with the third deck, let's move on to the fourth best deck. Here we have a completely different deck. We have the Inferno Tower, Rascals, Magic Archer, Knight, Goblin Barrel, Ice Spirit, Log, and Rocket. This deck is some form of a log bait deck. Your main win condition will be the Goblin Barrel. You can stop any big push with the Inferno Tower and Rascals. Magic Archer can be used defensively and then offensively to get some chip damage on the Princess Tower if placed correctly. Knight is a very good defensive card that goes in for a counter push after defending. You can send in Ice Spirit and Goblin Barrel to get extra chip damage on the tower if they don't react properly to it. And if you reach overtime and you have Rocket, that deals 432 damage. So if your opponent has Princess Tower with 800 HP and you can cycle 2 Rocket to do it to win your game, you can send in the Knight to the opponent's side, then throw Goblin Barrel, and while the Princess Tower is focused on your Knight, your Goblins will do humongous amount of damage if your opponent doesn't kill them. Finishing with the fourth deck, we now have the fifth deck, which has a Goblin Giant Witch, Ram Rider, Hunter, Goblin Cage, Miner, and double spell Tornado and Snowball. This deck is very fancy, it has many defensive capabilities and win conditions at the same time. You have the Goblin Cage paired with Witch or Hunter to stop big pushes. You have Miner for chip damage. You have the Ram Rider for huge damage. And if they put a Skeleton Army on the way, you can either Snowball it or Tornado them. With Tornado, you have the ability to activate King Tower early on. which gives you a huge advantage for the rest of the game. With this deck, I'd suggest to minor chip your opponent as much as you can, and when they overcommit to taking down your tower, and you defend with Witch plus Goblin Cage, if your opponent is low on elixir, send in the Ram Rider and get ready to snowball or tornado troops that your opponent might put on the Ram Rider. If your opponent has a building, use the Goblin Giant plus Witch and Hunter to break through, and send in the Ram Rider on the way, so when the Goblin Giant destroys the building, your Ram Rider can actually get a good hit on the Princess Tower. This deck is so OP and I can't wait to use it in this mini collection tournament. And so now we're done with the 5 decks. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. For those of you who don't have these specific cards like Ram Rider, Fisherman, Giant, and Miner, you can go back to my top 5 best decks for the mini collection tournament part 1. And you'll find different OP decks with different cards. Thank you all for watching. Please smash that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. And remember to like and comment down below your thoughts.